Hi everyone, it's Luke here, and I'm back this week with another weekly Forex watch list video. I had some great response from last week's video. It's the first one I put out, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to carry on doing this. I'm going to go through each week, go through my watch list again, also talk a little bit about the previous watch list I uploaded to see if any of the trades would have played out or if any of you guys got on those trades yourselves. So without further ado, let's go through the next week's watch list. So we're starting off with the AUDUSD, so Australian dollar, US dollar. Now we've got this nice downtrend line forming here. This is actually sort of the third touch. So a lot of people say that 3 touches qualifies the trend line. But you can see on the daily chart here, we've got this nice high test. Now high test meaning that it's tried pushing through this trend line, but it's come back down and rejected it somewhat. So if we drop down to that 4-hour time frame, we can see here that it's kind of peeped through, closed above, but then it's coming back down. So for me, ideally, I'd like to see, if we're going long, more of a push to the upside, then a retest to go long. Or if it is a fake out, which I think it probably might be, I'd like to see more downside movement and a retest on the backside of this trend line again for further downside confirmation. So at the moment, I'm not really looking to get into this pair, but I just want to show you an example of where traders might get stopped out, being that they're trying to get in these trades when you know, it could be a fake out. So that is AUDUSD. Next we've got AUDCAD, so the Canadian dollar. On this pair, we've also got a bit of a high test on the daily on this pair as well. So we can see some, we've got a lot of rejection, you know, to the upside. We've got this massive shooting star candle here. Okay, so and then another quite powerful momentum bearish candle. So again, I'm not really looking at too much on this pair, but it's either going to break out to the upside or the downside. You can see I've got these 2 lines here. So I'm going to keep an eye on this pair during the week, but for any immediate sort of action, there's nothing really to take on this. AUDCHF, this is a trade I took last week on Friday, so I just wanted to show you the trade I took. So basically what we had a nice breakout of this previous resistance. So we can see we've got resistance to the left here. We've also got resistance here, and it smashed straight through this. It came down quite quickly back to this area, and we had a lot of indecision candles here, a lot of low tests. And then we had this nice green engulfing sort of candle here, and I jumped on board and rode this trade back up to its previous point of structure up here, and I literally had pretty much no drawdown on this trade. I literally went straight up into profit. That was a good 1 to 1.5 risk reward. So again, a good example here. I risked 22 pips and I made 34. So I made just over 1% on this trade. So that was a great trade last week. As for next week, I'm not really looking at anything in particular on the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Here we've got a similar sort of situation to what I just explained, apart from I'm waiting for that pullback into previous resistance become support. So once we do get a pullback down into this area, I will look for some sort of bullish momentum to build up, and maybe some indecision or some low test candles on this line for another entry long to just a 1 in 1 out sort of trade, just to reach this previous high up here. So that's definitely one of my watch lists for next week. Next we've got CADCHF. Now this was last week's trade that I posted. I did say that I'd want to break out on a retest and to go long. But as you can see, my arrow is actually still there from last week. As you can see, we got that breakout, but I didn't quite get the full retest that I wanted. So I wanted to retest probably around where it is now. So I probably could have got in here. We had a nice test of this 50 EMA coming up here. And if I'd have gotten on this candle here, we'd be in profit. And I still believe it is going to reach this line. A lot of people say, well, why don't you jump in now? But we're kind of in no man's land at the moment. We're between the support and the resistance. I like to get in after a retest, on, you know, and I want a good risk reward. Right now, I'd have to put my stop loss below this sort of EMA as a protective barrier. And this would be my target. So I might just get a 1-to-1, but that's not good enough for me at the moment. So that's just a quick preview of last week's trade. But for this week, I'm still looking at EURUSD, and I'm looking, as you can see, it's broke out of this sort of support area. We had a nice inverted head and shoulders down here. So one left head, left shoulder here, right left shoulder, sorry, head and right shoulder, and then this neckline here that we were kind of floating around, and now we've smashed straight through it, and we're starting to pull back down into this area of support. So I'm looking again, similar sort of situation to my AUDCHF trade, and looking to go long towards this trend line. My overall bias for the euro dollar is still in a downtrend. However, if I can snag 30-40 pips up to this retest this trend line, I will do that. So that's another one on my watch list. Euro Australian dollar. Now let's just nip down to the daily quickly. We've been floating around this area for quite a while. There's been a lot of indecision. EMAs have crossed over. This gives us a good confidence that we are going to start seeing some downwards motion. We've got a nice high test candle here, and then we've closed actually quite bearish. So I'm actually waiting for a close below this red line on the 4-hour and a pullback into the previous resistance, come support. Okay, so it sort of broke out here but went straight back through, so that's not a confirmation for me. A lot of people would have sold here and said, yep, we've broke out, I'm going to sell here, and then what happens is it just goes straight back up and it stops them out. I need to see that retest and then further downside movement to confirm that we are changing direction in the trend. Next we've got EURCHF. This is one on my last week's watch list. If you go back and watch the video, you'll see my prediction was that we're going to break this horizontal ray line here, which we did, and we pulled back quite shortly. Although it is a nice little pullback, I wanted to see it come down to this line. Now I could have got in here, and as predicted, it came straight up and smashed through this previous resistance. So that would have been a good, I think that's a good like 70 pips there, if I remember rightly, if you got in around here. So 60 pips if you got in up there. If you'd have gotten down here, I think it was about 70 pips. So well done if you took that trade. Next we've got the euro pound. As you can see, we've got a bit of a double top here on the 4-hour. So what I'm really waiting for is this trend line to break, and I want to break through this previous support. As you can see, bam, support, bang, support, back down, bang, support, and now it's respecting this trend line. It's either going to go one way or the other, guys. I really think that we're still kind of bearish on the euro pound, sorry. So as I say, I'm waiting for this downside movement. Whether that comes next week or not, I'm not too sure, but it's definitely on my watch list. EURJPY, similar sort of situation again. We've broke out of a major area of resistance. So now I'm waiting for that pullback down into previous resistance. So I'm just waiting for that to come back, and then previous resistance comes support, sorry, and then I'll be looking for a long trade back up to test this high. I don't want to go no higher at the moment, but just to get some, lock in some profit there. What you've got to remember, guys, is when you are setting your take profits, be realistic, okay? Don't just set it as high as the last year's high was. Be realistic. So EURNZD, again, this is just last week's trade that I posted. I was looking for the breakout of this. I think if you go back and watch, you remember me saying that I've been respecting this line for quite some time. It broke out and literally went straight up to this line. I didn't have a good enough pullback towards this area, like I was waiting for. So if you did get on that trade aggressively, well done. You would have made profit again. So quite a few of my trades from last week were playing out quite nicely, but for me, it wasn't a good enough entry reason to get involved. Pound Australian dollar, you can see here that we've finally broken down through this previous support. Now I'm waiting for a pullback back up into that support area to be resistance, and I'm looking for some sort of bearish momentum to go short. So I'm still aware that the Brexit thing is going on, so please be wary if you are trading pound pairs. And the same again for the pound New Zealand dollar. We're slowly starting to break through this level of support. We've been consolidating for quite some time now, mainly due to Brexit. It's been up and down quite a lot. So I'm waiting for a bit of a clearer break. On the 1 hour, you can see we've got a nice break and a bit of a retest and an engulfing bearish candle here. Now that is a good sort of sign that we are going to go down more. But being on the 4 hour, there's more sort of structure here. I want to see a more confirmation on the 4 hour to be able to get involved in this. And my targets will be this sort of trend line here, and my stops will be just up here above this sort of support area. Next on the list is NZDJPY. Similar sort of situation to my triangle on the other pair. But what I'm waiting for now is again a pullback into the sort of area. I've got a fib chart, fib lines up here. So if any of you guys use Fibonacci, I'm waiting for some sort of rejection candle in the 618 area or the 50% area, and then I'd look to go long. Possibly, I'll probably take partial profits off a retest of the highs, and then I think we might even have enough energy to go to the 618 up the top here, considering it's quite a strong area of resistance. So oh no, we've got two more. So USDJPY, again, we're just at this previous resistance now. If you go onto the daily, we can see this has been tested multiple times. In the past, we've got support, sort of came up into this area, and now we've got resistance, and again resistance. This is quite a bullish candle here, so I'm waiting to see if we do power straight through this, get some sort of retest and confirmation to go long, or just might create this little sort of double top here and go back down to its previous support. So it's all a bit of a waiting game at the moment. Nothing's really shouting out to me at the markets that I'm going to take either tonight or tomorrow morning, but I will pay closer attention tomorrow morning. So the last pair, US dollar CHF, Swiss franc. I don't usually trade too much structure on a daily, but on the daily here we can see we've had this beautiful double top. We've had this break, and now we're retesting, but we've come actually quite high into this retest, and we've got this sort of rising flag here. So if we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we're still floating and we're still actually making higher highs and higher lows. So at the moment, I really want to sort of see a break of this sort of previous support and a break out of this flag, and a retest and a further push to the downside to be able to trade this back down to this sort of trend line here, which is, I believe, is on the weekly. Yes, this weekly uptrend line. Okay, so that's my watch list for the week. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'll try and do some more videos during the week for you guys. I know someone did mention about the pound yen, so we'll quickly look at that now. I did mention that I'm not really trading pound pairs simply due to Brexit, but we are sort of consolidating again. We're kind of up and down in this consolidation sort of area. I am predicting possibly a little bit of a double top here. If we can get a double top here, I'll wait for some sort of neckline break. So let's just say this is the neckline. I don't know yet. This candle could keep going straight down. But if we get a double top here, I'll wait for a neckline break, a retest, and then I'll be looking for some bearish momentum to go short, back down to this support. But as you can see, these pound pairs are really, really choppy, which is, it's ideal if you're sort of like a scalper or an intraday trader, where you're on the 15-minute and you're taking profits, you know, 10, 20 pips here and there. But when you want to get like a nice swing high or a nice swing low trade, you can't really do that when it's consolidation pairs. But yeah, let me know if you guys want any more videos put up. I'll be quite happy to do that. Hope you have a great week. Go through my last video and see that my trades did play out that I planned on taking. However, I didn't get entry confirmation for myself to take them. I'm not really an aggressive trader, but if you are an aggressive trader and you took them, well done. You would have made some nice profits on about 3 out of those trades that I posted last week. Yeah, any questions, let me know. And I'll see you next week, guys, for another video. Okay, have a good week in the charts. Trade safe, and I'll see you later on.